जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेव टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिन। जयशंकर साहब ने जाके रशिया में तो आग नहीं लगाई, बट कहीं और जगह पे काफी आग लग गई है। उसके ऊपर डिस्कशन शुरू हो गए हैं। भाई ये क्या है, ये तो आप दल बदलू हो गए हो, ये हो गया है, वो हो गया है। तो आज जरा लेट्स ट्राई एंड मेक सम सेंस। जनरल रायन है हमारे साथ, पहले तो उनको नमस्कार करते हैं एंड लेट्स वेलकम इन टू द शो।
नमस्कार, जय भारत।
एंड सर बताओ, ये मतलब एक तरफ तो अब बोलते हैं ना, मैं ओके टुडे आई विल प्ले डेविल्स एडवोकेट। हाँ, थोड़ा सा गेम खेलते हैं। तो हमारे तो काफी लोग बोलते हैं, सर क्या आप जो बाइडेन ने स्नब कर दिया आपको, आपको फिर उसके बाद सर वो मैक्रोन भी रोते धोते में माना है। लीडरशिप समिट नहीं हो रही रशिया के साथ सर, और जयशंकर को भेज रहे हो आप, ये क्या है सर? व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज वेरी बैड फॉरेन पॉलिसी, आई मस्ट से।
अमेरिका को ऐसा झटका लगा है ना, स्पेशली डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी को। इन्हें अभी तक उन्हें कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा ये क्या हो गया। वो इंडिया को पुश कर रहे थे टू कम अंडर देयर फ्लैग, और इंडिया ने बता दिया है कि औकात क्या है तुम्हारी, अपने जगह पे रहो। हम किसी के फ्लैग के अंदर कभी आए नहीं थे, जब हम कोई ताकत भी नहीं थे तब भी नहीं आए थे, अभी भी नहीं आएंगे। And you have hedged your bets very intelligently,
हैट्स ऑफ।
using both, using both France and Russia, and suddenly US is on the back foot. मेरे को लगता है न्यू ईयर ईव के पहले जो बचे हुए डिजाइन से जी के इंजन के वो भी भेज देंगे कि ले ले भाई, ले ले भाई, ले ले। They have been actually caught by a very big surprise, and it would be interesting to see what next with the US, because one thing which Mr. Jaishankar said, which I agree with him, for the last 70 years, the one thing that has been constant, has never changed, is India stroke Russia stroke Soviet Union friendship.
बहुत पक्की है।
50 से शुरू हुआ था और वो चेंज नहीं हुआ है। Both have stood with each other through thick and thin. It is not as if the relationship has been a very steady relationship. There have been ups and downs and blips, but this has been one constant, which cannot be said of the US.
जी।
US का है use and throw. आप इराक को ही ले लो यार, सदाम हुसैन वॉज देयर गाय, उसको सारे हथियार दिए थे टू फाइट अगेंस्ट ईरान। एंड रिजल्ट क्या हुआ उसका? थैंक यू बोल दिया उसको। अभी तो आई एम वरीड अबाउट जेलेंस्की, इतना हथियार दे रहे हैं उसको रशिया के साथ करने के लिए। अगर अगले साल कोई सीज फायर, कोई ट्रीटी हो जाता है, जेलेंस्की का क्या होगा? विल ही गो द सदाम वे? व्हाट विल हैपन? और विल ही गो दैट पैनामा चैप वे, the dictator of Panama? So,
Eastern Europe, sir, I would say Nicholas Ceausescu's way, Romania.
yeah, see, to save Hunter Biden and Biden, they'll throw anybody under the bus here.
Yeah.
Zelensky तो तैयार बैठा हुआ। So there is a churn which is coming up. It was moving positively till these last 2-3 months, जो the chicanery of the US started coming out. The deep old state and others started pushing. उनका प्रॉब्लम ये है, they damned if they do and damned if they don't. इलेक्शंस तो हारना है उनने, जिस तरह से चल रहे हैं। They've tried to use the judiciary, but जो यूएस के रिपोर्ट्स देखते हैं वो कह रहे हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज गोइंग टू ओवरटर्न दैट banning of him, and once that happens, chapter is closed as far as Democratic Party is concerned. Whether Biden आता है, जो आता है, किसी को ले आए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला। फिर क्या करेंगे ये सारे? Suddenly Victoria Nuland and gang will be without work. Have to go back into a think tank and do something. And the world would have changed. So will
हाँ.
those think tanks, how long will those think tanks keep them? Does anybody hear anything of Condoleezza Rice? कहाँ है वो आजकल? At one time, one of the most powerful women going around in the world. कहाँ है आजकल? Condoleezza Rice. Quiet. You don't hear her making any talks, any speech, anything. She might get revived in phase 2. You never know. And the biggest setback now, of course, France का तो हुआ ही हुआ है, is this visit to US, to
Russia.
And it will not be lost on the people who are watching. Putin normally doesn't meet ministers. He has made an exception for 2. Only Indians.
Ajit Doval.
Well, and now
Jaishankar.
Now this will not be lost even to the Chinese. For all the talk of Russia, China, very close, this, that, this tells you the realism, where it is, what is where. That is transactional. This is a constant relation. So you made some slides for me. Let's go through that. Yeah. So it has always been constant and stable. They've never had a crisis, but yes, it have had its blips and ups and downs.
62, early,
Yeah,
late
you've had your ups
90s.
and downs, but they've always been there. Like I've been telling you, I remember my dad, 50s, he was in central provinces when they split. He took MP. He's done most of the power lines in north and central MP. He's laid it out. Who are the helping hands? Russians. He had a English to Russian translation book with sentences and all bought then. He gifted it to me. I have gifted it to my daughter. So she's learning Russian. When I got Russian in NDA, he gave it to me. Use it. Daughter's learning Russian. I have given it to her. It's still existing. 70 साल पुराना किताब है वो. और वो Russians ने दिया था पापा को. It's printed by the Russians. Trade, of course, is going up. Rupee rubles trade is a very old thing. During the 70s, 80s also we used to follow that.
अभी थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम थी, वो भी सॉल्व हो गई है सर.
वो भी रिजॉल्व हो गया है. Indian sector में G7 is saying they want to put a ban on Russian gems. I would only tell the Indian entrepreneurs and others, big business houses, कि buy off De Beers. इतने पैसे तो है हमारे पास.
Buy off, sorry?
De Beers.
हाँ, De Beers, okay.
De Beers को खरीद लो और बोलो कि एम्स्टरडैम और सबको बोलो थैंक यू वेरी मच, वहां नहीं जा रहा, सब इंडिया ही आ रहा है. वाट लग जाएगी उनकी पूरा. They won't know where to go. So they'll have to rethink this, whether they will do it or not. I don't think France will agree. Nuclear power plant too is known. We go through them. There are only 2 countries whom we are very dependent for nuclear power plant and others apart from our own is France and Russia. Russia is the biggest one. Russia has been with us for long. Who can forget that? You see, when you get a new equipment, it takes a little time to understand how the equipment is used. INS Chakra 80s में दिया था आपको, which is a nuclear submarine. It taught you everything, how to handle, and once the 10-year lease finished, he gave you one more 10 years. Now you are adept. When you get your own Arihant series, you know how to handle what are the intricacies of functioning in a nuclear submarine. It takes time to understand, to absorb the technology and effectively to be able to understand. No other country has supported you like this. You can't forget these things. यूरेशियन
इंटरेस्टिंग
इकोनॉमिक
पॉइंट,
यूनियन, या आपको
बहुत
दिया है
इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट बोला आपने।
नाउ एफटीए, यूरेशियन इकोनॉमिक काउंसिल, सेंट्रल एशिया तो कूद पड़ेगा यार. Everybody wants to get out of the clutches of the Chinese. The moment you have this, now you realize what happens. And this linked with INSTC, जिसके साथ discussions हो रहा है through Iran. Iran will be happy. Central Asia is also happy. Nations of Caucasus will also be happy. Yeah? कि at least alternate मिल गया है हमको चाइना से. So these are certain geostrategic game changers. And it's very easy to say, यार INSTC ही है. No, with the FTA with EU, it changes the dynamics in Central Asia and the Caucasus.
पूरा गेम खत्म हो जाता है, चेंज हो जाता है. करेक्ट सर.
पूरा चेंज हो जाता है. And this being done with the consent of the Russians tells you where Russia-China relation actually stands. Because this damages China's hold in Eurasia. See, Russians have always looked at the Eurasian, that is Central Asia and Caucasus, as the near abroad. वो वेस्ट बोलता है वो कब्जा कर लेगा ये वो. They have never looked at occupying those countries. It is more as ensuring that their influence is there.
Security and influence.
And Chinese are coming in. So the counter to the Chinese is Indians come there. India, they know, is never going to upset the balance there. Having served in Central Asia for nearly 3.5 years, I know how much I used to discuss with them, and I knew everything of what they were doing, how it was going, and they felt very comfortable. Both the Central Asian countries like Tajikistan, where I was, and the Russians felt more comfortable dealing with us than dealing with either the West or the Chinese. These are certain, which is coming out here starkly. I came out from there in 2007, about 16 years ago. But this is coming out starkly. The last 2 points is very stark, that they would like us to have our presence there. Okay.
ये पूरा चाइना ना ले ले, पूरी जगह चाइना ना.
चाइना बचाना है ना. Like Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, they are highly indebted to the Chinese. So the moment you come in and you give an alternate source, that indebtedness starts reducing. Okay.
Correct.
Next. So what are the optics of this? On one side, you have a country which keeps talking democracy, 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 and there is Victoria Nuland shaking hands with the damn chief of army staff, who actually de facto is the dictator of Pakistan, or area called Pakistan. He has an area of responsibility which they have named it as Pakistan. And here on the other side, our external affairs minister is meeting Putin. And the optics become very different. Next.
Rank ही different है sir.
The level is totally different. Like we had already mentioned, he rarely meets other ministers unless a head of state is there. Like
Chinese से मिला था एक बारी.
हाँ, but otherwise ये तो दो हो गए.
एक बारी.
Right. Now he is invited Modi to Russia. And he is backing, of course, the Security Council. He is always backed. He has never said no. He is always backed. Okay. And what is most important is resolving the Ukraine crisis. So are we looking at sometime next year? Because as it is the last lot जो हथियार का जाना था यूएस से वो चला गया है. EU का तो हंगेरी ने मना कर दिया. हंगरी ने कहा भाई साहब हमें पैसे चाहिए, उसको जान दे भाड़ में, बहुत दे दिया, हमको जो पैसा लगता है पहले हमको दो, जो बच जाता है फिर डिसाइड करना बचे कुछ बंगाल को यूक्रेन को देने के लिए. इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ EU. We are part of EU. We need the money as per the charter of EU. You are supposed to give me the money. Give me my money. तो कितना खींचेगा वो? So when he is invited Modi, there are two slots I see. Either March, April before the elections is announced, or that's a bit too early, or after elections. So he is also sanguine that coming in for a third term, and could be back channel talks may have started with Zelensky and others who, if nothing else as a start point, go for a ceasefire and then take it forward.
इंटरेस्टिंगली सर आज व्हाइट हाउस से एक न्यूज़ सी निकली कि ज़ेलेंस्की को बोल रहे हैं साहब नाउ स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट लूजिंग लैंड.
या दे वेरी क्लियर ना, कब्जा तो कर नहीं सकते, काबिलियत है नहीं, एंड द कंट्री इज टोटली डिस्ट्रॉयड. जो चले गए हैं वो तो मना कर रहे हैं अभी आने के लिए. There are a lot of money required and lot of development work that is required out there to reconstruction work, rather I would say, for doing, which is not going to happen in a hurry. While Russia is not impacted in that big a manner, but yes, it also will take time to recover its economy. It will take a little while. So you may find that you come into more limelight by being able to orchestrate a ceasefire. And see, the first step for talks is a ceasefire.
मारना बंद करो. करेक्ट.
पहले तो लड़ना बंद करो ना, फायरिंग. A ceasefire, and you demarcate the line of both sides कि तुम यहाँ हो, रुक जाओ, and then do the talks. So are we looking at a ceasefire and then say some talks in India in 2025 with both sides sitting together? जल के मर जाएगा. और
या फिर अगर
पार्डन
मोदी साहब अगर उधर जा रहे हैं,
हाँ, तो वही तो बोल रहा हूँ. नेक्स्ट वहां पे ज़ेलेंस्की इतने जल्दी आएगा नहीं आएगा भरोसा नहीं है ना. तो वहां पे इनिशियली टॉक्स होके शायद सीज फायर हो जाए
जी,
एंड देन have a next round of talks where you decide and draw the border and lines and whatever has to be done to come to a peace treaty. Because ceasefire, I'm not too happy to state that way, because then it stays like what is happening in J&K with us. Okay, ceasefire line draw करके बैठा दिया हमको दोनों साइड. So take it forward. So you suddenly find these issues now coming up. That means where is US in the scheme of things? And if India is orchestrating this, then where is UN in the scheme of things?
Who, sir?
UN.
No, I sir, sorry, आप DevTalks का मैं आपको abbreviation nomenclature भेज दूंगा. मैं उनको useless nuts बोलता हूँ.
No, maybe finally what will happen is whatever is arrived at here will be cleared by the UN Security Council and say this is UN resolution number so and so. So these are certain issues which are, as a trend, it appears US is losing its reputation in a big way. Because Zelensky, the other issue is refusing to hold elections. He's become worse than Putin. Putin का क्या बोलो? He's become like Xi Jinping. जो मेरे अगेंस्ट है
इलेक्शन होते हैं रशिया में, ऐसी बात नहीं है.
नहीं, मैं शी जिनपिंग की बात कर रहा हूँ ना.
वहां तो
चैप हैज बिकम लाइक शी जिनपिंग कि भाई सब आउट, आई सेलेक्ट माई सेल्फ टू कंटिन्यू. पर चलो एक शैम सा हो भी जाता है उनका कांग्रेस दैट आई हैव सेलेक्टेड माई सेल्फ. ज़ेलेंस्की तो वो भी नहीं करना चाहता. मीडिया की वाट लगा रखी है, ऑल ऑपोजिशन लीडर्स इन जेल. And then the laughable thing is EU saying we have to protect democracy. Oh, hello. So let's see kahan jata hai ye. It's interesting. So 2024 appears to be moving towards very interesting times for Bharat. And next dekhe. या
यहाँ
एनुअल
मेरे को
समिट
आपसे
से भी
दो
बड़ा।
सवाल पूछने हैं, तो मैं आपको, आप पहले कर लो, बट मेरे से दो सवाल आपको लेने हैं यहाँ पर छोटे छोटे से,
श्योर श्योर श्योर।
क्योंकि ये लैंग्वेज बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है।
या सी, I'll take the lower one first. India-Russia ties have been the only constant. Like I said, 70 years ago शुरू हुआ था 50s में. So I would say Bharat, Russia stroke Soviet Union. That has been the constant. If you look around the world in the last 70 years, these are the two countries who have stayed together and not changed sides.
जी,
बाकी का साइड चेंज, दल बदली तो बहुत हुआ। इसको रख लिया साथ में, ये पसंद नहीं आया तो छोड़ के उसको रख लिया, सारा कुछ चला है इनका। ओके, तो एनुअल समिट जो बीच में भी बंद हो गया था, दोबारा शुरू हो रहा है। ट्रेड है, कनेक्टिविटी का, एनएसटीसी का बात किया है, ऑयल का भी बात करेंगे। ही इज रेडी टू गिव यू मोर कंसेशंस नाउ आफ्टर ही गॉट टू नो दैट यू आर गोइंग टू गेट फ्रॉम वेनेजुएला। ही इज अंडरस्टूड कि और सस्ता दो, मेरा बिकेगा। मिलिट्री कोऑपरेशन तो चल ही रहा है आपके। यू आर मेकिंग फॉर ships for him, he is giving you the S-400s। कुंडमकुलम न्यूक्लियर प्लांट का भी चल रहा है। रूपी रूबल पेमेंट मैकेनिज्म हो जाएगा इन अ वे। मे बी दे माइट यूज, वी माइट सेल देम आवर आइडिया ऑफ यूपीआई, तो बैंक टू बैंक ट्रांसफर हो जाएगा। आप यहाँ कर खरीदो, म्यूचुअली अग्रीड रूपी रूबल रेट में, वो रूबल में तेरे को वहां मिल जाएगा।
पैसे
मैं
मिल
तेरे
जाएंगे
से
वहां
कुछ खरीदूंगा तो रूपी रूबल रेट में मेरा रूपी का, तो इट बिकम्स इजियर।
जी।
सी, the issue is has always been a trust, a level of trust. Why it is steady?
पकड़ लिया।
कोई भरोसा है कि वो मेरे साथ है।
जी।
और 71 वॉर का अभी तक भूले नहीं है। When the seventh fleet was coming, suddenly the Russian submarines popped up and they had to withdraw. So nobody can forget that.
जी।
And as Jaishankar had mentioned, instead of giving us the last Western equipment we got was एक ब्रिटिशर्स का सेंचुरियंस लिया था तो 65-71 वॉर में, 66 में Britishers Vickers had sold the designs to us. They didn't make it, which was our Vijanta tanks. Americans never sold us anything. वो तो पुराने जो उनके रिफर्बिश पुराने शर्मन्स थे वो थे हमारे पास, फ्रेंच के AMX थे, and that's about all. They preferred to give it to a dictator. The upholders of democracy sided with the dictator across on the border and gave M48 tanks to them, and they've been giving them all their equipment. If you take your Air Force also, we had what? Mystiers, Nats, Hunters, Maruts जिससे लड़े थे। उसके बाद क्या हुआ? में टी सीरीज टैंक्स आने शुरू हो गए, मिग के आने शुरू हो गए। शुरू में Su-7 था, बाद में अब Su-30 भी आ गया, सब आया है। Your nuclear plants, everything they have helped you through, held your hand and helped you through. Despite 74 के पहले Canadians used to assist you. The moment we had the peaceful nuclear blast in 74, सबने हाथ खड़ा कर दिया था except Russia. Similarly, we have held their hand even when they came into Afghanistan. We refused to condemn them.
Yep.
So you find that there is a degree of trust and भरोसा है कि यार हाँ डिपेंडेबल है, ये हमको धोखा नहीं देंगे, डबल फेस्ड नहीं है। इट इज लाइक इफ यू लुक एट द मच फ्रॉट यूएस पाकिस्तान, आई रियली डोंट अंडरस्टैंड किस तरह से you know that they have always run with the hare and hunted with the hounds, and now again you have gone back to them. इन्हें वो ही मिला था। बट ये भी है, यू कैन कंसोल योरसेल्फ विद अजीत स्टेटमेंट कि उसको लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन दे रहे हैं। लिक्विड उसे जीने नहीं देगी, ऑक्सीजन उसे मरने नहीं देगी। उसी लेवल पे है वो, मतलब वेंटिलेटर पे चल रहा है वो, और कुछ है नहीं। Can we go to the next slide? हाँ, हथियारों का मैंने एक जिक्र किया था. So what they have now said is they are ready for the first time ever. They have never been very keen on that. TOT कर देते हैं. They are ready to co-produce and make in India. Now that's a very, very major thing. If we can take it forward, we have one success and one failure. I'll put it on the table. The success is Brahmos and the failure is Su-57. Okay, where they were hesitant to release certain technologies and our people to work with. So we walked out. They would have, I think, I would have learned a lesson. And if they can go down the Brahmos way, it will be a win-win situation for both. Because the way we have modified and given the Yakhont to them, Brahmos is based on the Yakhont missile. वो खुद ही they themselves are surprised. Yeah,
खुद मांग रहे हमसे.
Yes, they themselves are surprised at the efficacy of this weapon, and it's phenomenal. I have done the test firing. Because we had not signed the missile proliferation treaty, so they couldn't keep the range beyond 300. Tested it to a range of 268 kilometers over 2 days. The beaten zone was set that 20 by 20 CEP, circular error, is 20 meters radius. Day 1 was a dud missile. Day 2 was with a proper missile, actual warhead. Difference in hits. See, the weather pattern also would have changed. From first day to the second day, the weather pattern is never the same. At that range, the weather affects. The second missile fell the first one fell within that 20 meter CEP. The second missile was just 5 meters off where the first missile had hit. That's the accuracy. Just 5 meters next. So if this comes through, it will be really good, because all said and done, the Russian equipment are technologically quite good. They're very rugged.
Most importantly,
they're very rugged. Unlike the Western equipment, they're not that rugged. This is very rugged. Okay. Next. Frigates वगैरह सब आ जाएंगे. S-400s तो is on time, which is coming up, which is the other thing which is giving nightmares to both Pakistan and China. See, the Americans had been putting a pressure. They put pressure on Turkey also. What they have to realize is S-400 is not, it's a layered system. It's not a single system. It's a layered system covering from excess of 400 till about 120 kilometers range. It has different range missiles available with it. So the same system can take on targets up to that range. Whereas when you go to the western side, which Americans were putting pressure earlier on us and even the Turks, the problem is for the shorter range, like medium range, 100, 120 kilometers, there is a different system. For the longer range, there is a different system. So you are going in for two separate systems. The cost doubles. There is one system which covers everything and has the radars and all fire control system and missile control systems available to control everything. So since 5 आ जाते हैं, तो virtually the complete LOC, LAC gets covered. Next. Oil का हमने झलक दिखाया था. तो we had gone for diversification, Africa, South America, because initially Lavrov was hesitant. So I think Lavrov has been read the Riot Act by Putin, and now you find next that they're going to give you concession. They're looking at even more concessions. So yuan का क्या हुआ? Because China is not buying that much of oil from Russia as much as you are, because it's not just that you are using it. Virtually rest of the world which was dependent on Russian oil is using it from you. So the dependencies on Russian oil stays, as and when this, see, the factor which Russia would have put in is, in simple terms, simplistic terms, I would say that as and when the Ukraine war ends and Russia gets back into the scheme of global trade, those dependencies continue. Maybe India से निकल के वहां चला जाएगा. So at that time, your dependencies on the African and Venezuelan oil would benefit you still. It is not that if the Russians are going to give you more oil, you will not buy oil from Venezuela and especially Africa.
आप
You
एक्सपोर्ट भी तो
would,
कर रहे हो सर.
correct, you would. So you would diversify into, you have the capability in your various refineries that are available with you. So you would divert it to other refineries. And like you correctly mentioned, थोड़ा बहुत जो आपको यूज के लिए चाहिए लेंगे, बाकी आप एक्सपोर्ट करोगे. So even at that time, if the Russians reduce the oil that they're sending to you and say Europe starts buying it directly from the Russians, बाकी जगह के लिए आपकी डिपेंडेंसी है. So China suddenly gets left out in this, because you suddenly find that the Chinese, all these people who were talking yuan, 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 and you and I were telling कि yuan is worthless, nobody will go for it. ये सबसे पहले एग्जाम्पल आ गया है रशिया का, when he is ready to give you more oil at even more concessions, that it is indicative that he doesn't want the yuan. Yuan trade उसको चाहिए नहीं. So ये आ गया ना, discounts are set to rise. So though I don't think 10 to 12 तक जाएगा, he won't be able to afford that much of something, but at least 8 तक तो
नहीं
पहुंच
सर, अभी
जाएगा.
तो प्राइस $80 पे है. $12 दे दे, हमको क्या प्रॉब्लम है.
No, मैं बोल रहा हूँ 4 to 6 पर बैरल का वो दे रहा है आपको. 10 से 12 डबल हो जाता है. आई थिंक अबाउट 8 to 10 के बीच में रख लेगा. इन बिटवीन 10 to 12 would be a bit too much for him also. He has to, after all, he has also to look at his economy, because these are the only few things on which he is surviving at the moment. Oil है, minerals है, that is what he is on. Gas. ठीक है. Next. Trade. Okay. Let's look at trade. So ट्रेड में प्रॉब्लम ये है हमारा, इट्स ऑल रिसोर्स बेस्ड एंड डिफेंस. इन बिटवीन देयर इज अ बिग गैप. You are making 27 ships, like I said, we are making ships for them, we are buying frigates for them. These are smaller ships, coast guard type ships. FMCG sector, we need to see how we can leverage that. We need to get a market for that. Cooperation in technology, abhi the biggest advantage of this that I find is that a lot of countries which are using Russian equipment are finding it a problem to source spares, because after all, most of their factories are being used for their own people. In the cooperation sphere, what we have signed with it, and where he says make in India, this would be a big tick, that we start making all the spares and take over the MRO, that is the maintenance, repair, and overhaul, and also I would say MROS, maintenance, repair, overhaul, and sustainability of the various equipment that are in use in Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, Latin America. Everything is available. That's a huge market. Nuclear sector has now started again. See, you have always felt comfortable with them, because They have been with you for a long time. They make these nuclear reactors for use within their country. You're not a guinea pig, like France also does it. Americans don't do it, and that's why they're not getting it, because our contention, and rightfully so, यही है कि भाई पहले तुम अपने देश में बना के दिखाओ ना that it works. हमें क्यों गिनी पिग ले रहे हो कि तुम्हारा नया बनाया, तुमने नया
जो
बनाया तो
चाइना
अपने देश में बना के दिखाओ.
जो चाइना पाकिस्तान के साथ करता है.
या गिनी पिग है. So that is the kind of trust that you have with the Russians, that they're not using you as guinea pigs. Next. So what would be the reactions? Yeah.
कहाँ पर आग लगी?
किसको आग लगी? सबसे पहले तो चीन को लग गई आग. वो तो झुलस गया, सब कुछ झुलस गया चीन का. Because suddenly he finds जो उसको मिला नहीं वो तो वापस इंडिया के पास आ गया है, रशिया. और जो चेन्नई व्लादिवोस्टॉक लिंक है जिसको बोल रहे हैं, एंड नॉर्थ सीज, नोट द टर्म, they did not use the term Arctic. North Sea is actually the Arctic, and they have said cooperation with us for that, not China. Not China. Chennai, Vladivostok, there is no China. INSTC, there is no China. The defense के deliveries हो रहे हैं. Now they are talking of joint manufacturing. And that statement, environment needs to be fair for all. That's a statement जिससे at least along its eastern seaboard China झुलस गया.
हवा निकल गई.
Totally. That Russia is not on board with China on what he's doing on his 9, now 11, 12 dash line and Senkaku and others. He's not, at least it sounds to him that he's not on the same page as him, and he should get worried now. Because he knows that Russia is, अगर अगले साल वो सुलह हो गई तो he's up a gum tree. Now, if he wanting to do something in Taiwan, he cannot depend on Russia at all. So, सबसे पहला तो झुलसा है बहुत बुरी तरह चाइना. Okay. Next, US तो I would say the more than US it is the Democrats. Biden thought he is giving a good cold shoulder to India, and suddenly he finds that India ने बोला अच्छा ठीक है, थैंक यू, मैक्रो आ रहा है और मैं जा रहा हूँ रशिया. और रशिया से उसने बुला लिया है, और हाँ नहीं कहा है, ना भी नहीं कहा है, अब वो तड़प गया है. अब डीप स्टेट को समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि क्या करो. अब वो इंजन के बाकी डिजाइन दिया नहीं है G414 का, मेरे को लगता है वो भी होगा. सडनली यू मेट फाइंड कहीं ये पन्नून को ही नॉकआउट ना कर दे, या उसको वो चार्ज में जेल में डाल दें कि बचा रहेगा, बच के रहेगा, जैसे हेडली को डाला,
प्रोटेक्टिव कस्टडी,
जॉर्ज हेडली को डाला है, उसी तरह से इसको भी जेल में डाल देंगे. मैसेजिंग यूएसए को वेरी क्लियर है, मेरे साथ पंगे मत लेना बेफालतू के, सुधर जाओ. और मोदी तो जाएगा रशिया, और जाएगा रशिया तो यूएस को भी क्लियर मैसेजिंग है, थैंक यू, टाटा, बाय बाय, याद रख लो, हमसे डील करना है तो वी विल सी. द बेसिक इशू विच यूएस इज स्टिल नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, द यूएस ऑफ ओल्ड, is when you say strategic autonomy, that both countries have their interests. Where our interests overlap, I am with you. Where they don't overlap, I am not with you. US is wanting where they don't overlap, you still be under me. Where they overlap, you will be under my flag. Who's interested in your flag? यार तेरा झंडा लेके कूदता रहे, तू जहां जाना है अपने छत पे लगा ले, गाड़ी पे लगा ले, बॉनेट पे लगा ले, जहां लगाना है लगा ले यार. सालों की मेरा झंडा मैं रखूंगा यार, मेरे को जहां गाड़ना है मेरा झंडा मैं गाड़ के चलाऊंगा यार, लगाऊंगा झंडे को. तेरे को क्या हो रहा है कि नहीं मैं मेरा झंडा नहीं तेरा झंडा लगाऊं? मैं क्यों लगाऊं तेरा झंडा यार? मैं वेस्टर्न यूरोप थोड़ी हूं. आज तक किसी लड़ाई में तुमने मेरी मदद नहीं की है, I have looked after myself, excluding 1962, which is for different reasons. बाकी सारी लड़ाई में I have looked after myself. अभी भी गलवान हुआ है, I have looked after myself, other than you saying ये कर लो वो कर लो. मैसेजिंग उसको समझ आना चाहिए साउथ वेस्टर्न पैसिफिक में क्या हो रहा है. Why are Japan, South Korea and Australia getting worried? वो समझ नहीं आ रहा है उसको. They are seeing that they have done a strategic alliance and relationship with Philippines, where Philippines, apart from reviving the Subic Bay base, has given them 4 more bases. Daily उनका logistic जाता है to the ship which is stuck in Scarborough Shoals. They don't want to bring it out because otherwise China चढ़ जाएगा.
जी.
China Coast Guard ships उनको regularly harass करते हैं. The largest maritime fleet available is there with the Indo-PACOM. एक भी जहाज वहां भेजा है उसके पास कुछ करने के लिए. Like I said, like we discussed earlier, Russia-India trust. Where is the trust? The trust deficit is rising.
Correct.
And they are more and more looking towards India, more and more looking towards should we go nuclear. AUKUS तो साइन कर दिया आपने फ्रांस को हटा के because you don't want anybody else to come this side. But I don't hear anything further about the nuclear submarine of Australia. What has happened?
मेरे को तो सर आवाजें आ रही हैं जापान में से बोल रहे हैं कि भाई न्यूक्लियर वेपन बनाओ.
बिल्कुल, जापान एंड साउथ कोरिया. यहाँ पे तो ऑस्ट्रेलियंस विल बी थिंकिंग यार मैंने डील करके क्या कर दिया. आई थॉट मेरे को अमेरिकन टेक्नोलॉजी मिलेगा. यहाँ पे तो ये बोल दिए कि ब्रिटिश टेक्नोलॉजी देंगे और अमेरिका विल फंड इट. So they are worried, are we going to get a refurbished British engine, British sub, nuclear sub? मिल रहा है नहीं मिल रहा है क्या है इसके ऊपर सन्नाटा है. Japan and South Korea are really worried. Taiwan would also be worried. Will he come? So you find more and more of these countries are reaching out to you. But you are hesitant to go that side to say that I am happy at the present in my Indian Ocean region. So US has to look at all these things very deeply. I would say क्वाड है नहीं है होता है. इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन के लिए एक अपना वो बना लो रीजनल कमीशन. एंड इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन के एक्चुअल रेसिडेंट पावर्स एक्सक्लूड यूएस आता है नहीं आता है कुंड बी बॉदर्ड. जापान, साउथ कोरिया, ताइवान, फिलीपींस, इंडोनेशिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, इंडिया, उनको बैठाओ. गेट ऑल द एग्रीमेंट्स. जो एग्रीमेंट्स है रहने दो. दिस headquarters work is only to resolve the overlapping issues so that you get a better bang for buck, and you will find things start working much better. Otherwise वही होगा, यूएस बोलेगा मेरे झंडे के नीचे आओ और कोई उसके झंडे के नीचे आने के लिए तैयार नहीं. Do you have any other slide left?
नहीं सर.
ना. सो वही है कि जो दो मेन हमारे एक तो एंटागनिस्ट है चाइना, दूसरा आ रहा था साथ के लिए बट उसको अभी तक समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है कि मैं आऊं कि नहीं आऊं, विच इज यूएस. कभी जो एक हिंदी फिल्म निकली थी ना, कभी हाँ कभी ना, वही हो रहा है अभी यूएसए में, कभी हाँ कभी ना. एंड इट्स रियली द यूजर इज यूएस. इन द इवॉल्विंग process, everybody knows Indo-Pacific is going to be the key and India is the fulcrum. And if you're going to do kabhi haan kabhi na with India, they would have learnt a lesson now with EAM's visit to Russia that India's options are enormous. And with the being the voice of global south and Russia being with you and a whole lot of these Middle East countries are with you, Saudi, Oman, UAE, Bahrain, they will find it very tough to be accepted as a leader in the world. Slowly, their trust deficit is becoming large. I don't know how if and when the Republicans come to power, I don't know how they are going to remove this trust deficit. This is one big thing which the Americans have to learn. I'm not saying the American power has declined. At the moment, no. But the problem is that the gap which was there has declined. And the other countries are strong enough to hold their own in their region, who have come up. And you can't sneeze at them and say that, no, you have to come under my umbrella. वो होगा
वो
नहीं.
नहीं होगा, कौन
वो
सुनेगा?
होगा नहीं. So the days of alliance under you is over. You got to learn that is the day of partnership, collective leadership, joint decision making. कि मैं decide करूंगा, तुम करो, भूल जाओ. And you do not have the capacity which is evident today to take on all the regions of the world. Where are you today in any of the hotspots other than weapons? Zero, yeah. You've gone out of
Correct.
Afghanistan, you've gone out of Libya, you've gone out of Syria, you've gone out of Iraq. You're not there in Ukraine, you're not there in the Gaza war. Where are you? You're present but absent in the Indo-Pacific, where all the incidents that the Chinese are doing. If you want a leadership, then you've got to show leadership. You're not showing leadership. And that is why now you find that the India-Russia relationship, which was slightly coming down, back to square one. Where does that leave you? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Like the
जी
slide which Aadi had made beautifully. The action was Nuland shaking hands with a dictator, and the reaction was us shaking hands with Putin. क्या करोगे? The ball actually is in their court. Actually, is in Potus' court. He has to take a call because sometimes he goes with the old state, sometimes he works with the new state. I think it's time for you to be decisive, but I think the time has run out for you. It's time. You're becoming a lame duck president already, as far as the world affairs are concerned. यूक्रेन ने तुम्हारी बात नहीं सुनी, though you claim that you told them to attack in one place, he is dissipated. So the Russia-Ukraine war has gone out of your hand. Israel has given you a shut-up call that is not going to stop. Whatever be the casualties in Gaza is not going to stop till Hamas is destroyed. You can do nothing about it. Who else is listening to you? Saudi Arabia, UAE don't care a damn fig about you here. इंडिया था, तुम जिससे हाथ मिला रहे थे और तुम उसी से पंगा लेने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, तो क्या बचेगा तुम्हारे पास? चाइना तो वैसे ही गया गुजरा था. हम तो पहले ही कह रहे थे कि इट वाज अ ट्रांजैक्शनल रिलेशनशिप विद रशिया, एंड रशियंस हैव देमसेल्व्स शोन दैट इट्स अ ट्रांजैक्शनल रिलेशनशिप. So this is what I had. Over to you, Adi. Shoot your questions. You said you had 2 questions.
हाँ, वो काफी सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं. मैं लोगों ने पूछे हैं, तो आई एम गोना जस्ट ऐड माय लिटिल मसाला देयर. बाय द वे सर, दिस इज द हाईएस्ट viewership we've got in any show. We've got 4,114 people as we
Thank
speak.
you.
ठीक है. So this is ठीक है, a marvel of nature, if I may. So you know, and thanks so much guys. सबसे पहले यार like the video जरा धमके से, जोर से. ठीक है.
I would just add one last line. ऐसे visits जब होते हैं ना, बैक चैनल पहले काफी सेट करके फिर जाते हैं.
जी जी जी.
ओके, सो दैट वहां जाने के बाद देयर आर नो हिकअप्स, एंड देयर वर नो हिकअप्स, व्हिच इज अ टेलिंग स्टेटमेंट टू द यूएस कि सुधर जाओ, अभी भी वक्त है, सुधर जाओ. बट शायद इट इज मोर अ मैसेजिंग नाउ. आई वुड stick my neck out and say it's a more messaging now to the Republicans. इसने जो करना था कुंडा तो कर दिया, अब तुम आके थोड़ा सॉर्ट आउट करके सही
नहीं
hedge
करना
बना
तो है, ठीक है, हम चलते रहेंगे, तुम अपनी जगह चलो, हम अपनी
हम,
जगह चलेंगे।
बिल्कुल।
Absolutely. Sir, let's just request everybody, please like this video in large numbers. Yeah, 4,200 people are watching right now. Please like this video in large numbers. Subscribe to the channel and spread the word. We have already actually hit the target. जो हमको 31st को करना था वो तो already हो गया है. So thank you so much, all of you guys. Let's see how far we can pull it. And you know, देखते हैं कहाँ जाता है सर. तो this is a बोलते हैं blessing है. So I'm very happy. And guys, you can contribute towards the DevTalks efforts using the QR code जो ऊपर है, या फिर PayPal यूज कर सकते हैं जो नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन में है, या फिर आप सुपर स्टिकर्स और सुपर चैट्स भेज सकते हैं. There's so many comments. Trust me, if you go through all of them, it'll take till the morning. ठीक है sir. So let's take a few. Venkataraman ji, thank you so much for becoming a member. Vivek Balachandra ji, thank you so much. Congratulations on meeting 130K. Thank you so much. Have been thoroughly enjoying your shows.
Thank you,
Always a treat to
Balchandra
hear
ji.
मेरे channel पर आए.
Thank you.
Average middle class gamer, thank you so much. Great to see Narayan sir. I believe US and her allies like Pakistan are suffering from very severe goldfish memory. India showing off a friendship with Russia and France. India is going to status quo like history.
The goldfish, maybe that's why I gave the statement of "Kabhi haan, kabhi na." वो शाहरुख खान की फिल्म थी ना, कभी हाँ कभी नहीं. Then they actually are clueless what they want to do. The old state is going, the new state is coming. Old state doesn't want to go, but the past that we have to realize, na, POTUS has to realize that it is the new state that has to take charge and not the old. He falls back to the old. And I'm surprised Victoria Nuland has not, and Blinken have not yet been shown the door.
I know.
Elections are going.
Most useless people.
Yeah.
Talk Super Tank. Thank you so much. He says Russia pushing for Make in India for Russian defense equipment is it really beneficial for India, or is it like another US like scam?
No scam. Like I gave two instances. The Su-57 actually didn't take off well. Brahmos is the biggest success. And if
और भी हैं सर, काफी सारे हैं.
Yeah.
T90 में भी कुछ काम हुआ था मेरे ख्याल से साथ में. You would be able to tell us a little more.
The team has been here initially. See, T72, T90. When you took from them, initially a team was here. It takes a little time to absorb the technology. So they were here to train the HVF Aadi. And once they were clear and they said, okay, they can do it, then the team left, and thereafter, Aadi has been certifying the tanks. So that has been happening. Despite the TOT, they would come here and do everything. Brahmos, everything is made in India, and a whole lot of things are made in India. Some are brought from Russia. It is their actual missile, like I had mentioned, is their sea missile, Yakhont. The Yakhont has been modified. Everything else, the software, the manner of targeting, everything is done by the Indian technology. And it has become a very good success, and Russians are asking for it.
AMCG, once again, thank you so much. Pakistan is what we call in jelly state, neither liquid nor solid.
I prefer the Ajit wala liquid oxygen. लिक्विड उसे मरने नहीं देगी, जीने नहीं देगी, ऑक्सीजन उसे मरने नहीं देगी, वहीं पे अटका है.
Rama Mohan Pradapati ji, thank you so much for your contribution. Chandresh Patel ji, thank you so much for your contribution. Mahindra Kanpuri ji, thank you so much. Hello Adi and sir, hypothetically speaking, in a way, battle between Russia, China, India and US with only one bullet each. Russia and India are clear who they will shoot. Are US and China clear? Wow, that's a question, buddy. That's a question, I must say.
As I see it today, उनके अंदर ही कलेश है, तो वो वन बुलेट आपस में अंदर ही मार गोली चला देंगे.
That's, I mean, imagination है भाई की यार.
Tremendous, tremendous.
JP, thanks so much. He says, General Sir and Aadi do it from Japan.
JP जी, भगवंत मान ने अगर करना है तो 11 बजे के पहले करना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद I really
हाँ,
don't know whether he'll be sober enough to say anything, or even if he says anything, will we understand anything?
Rahul Lakshman ji, Indo-Pacific Security Council can happen, sir?
I wouldn't call it a security council because I would call it just an Indo-Pacific council where you have all domains under it, where security is one aspect of it. So like you have Quad, they've created an AUKUS. That can be a vertical under that. But
जी,
there are a lot of economic projects which are overlapping. We are also doing, somebody else is also doing. And this council should be there to sort out these overlaps so that you get a better bang for the buck and you don't waste money. ठीक है, it is meant for that. That is what I am saying. वो
uh,
लगाने के लिए यूएस को भी बात हुआ है. I've spoken to their assistant secretary of state twice here in the consulate. हाँ हाँ बोल के चले जाते हैं, बट होता कुछ नहीं है. तो इसीलिए आई हैव बीन राइटिंग ऑन दिस सिंस 2016-17 कि जब तक ये होगा नहीं, you will not be able to get it because every country is going tangentially for their own interests. I am
जी,
looking at the overlap of interests. And that can be done only with the council where the overlap can be sorted out.
कहीं तो होगा सर, कहीं ना कोई joint interest or something.
बनाने को तैयार नहीं है ना.
जी, अमित
Because
चौधरी
they
जी,
don't understand partnership. No? This council comes when you understand partnership. So
जी,
that's why I'm saying if Americans are not in agreement, छोड़ दो ना. हम बना लेते हैं with these group of 5, 6, 7 like-minded countries. They are also having a trust deficit on the US. So like-minded countries के साथ करते रहो.
जी.
Automatically झक मार के US भी आएगा.
Amit ji, thank you so much for your contribution. And Ravi Malhotra ji, thank you so much. He says USA started considering India as the next superpower. So not comfortable now. Pannu is a needle to check India, but not working out.
बिल्कुल सही पकड़ा आपने सर. See, all the projections that they are showing is that one projection which I read today, they are saying that we will become the third largest economy by 2032. Going by the earlier cases, what has happened from 2014, I think you will become the third largest by 2028. And they are saying that before the end of the year, you will be the largest economy and would be 30% more than the USA. डरा हुआ इसीलिए है. अब these are, whether you reach there, you don't reach there, that's a different issue. Nobody can predict that far away.
जी,
2028 तो अभी नजदीक ही है, not too far away. Yes, by then you might go to 5, 6, $7 trillion economy. But the issue with the Americans is they are not able to absorb that the gap between them and the other countries is reducing. उनको वो हैंडल करना समझ नहीं आता.
UN peacekeeping force. बाप रे बाप.
Yes, yes.
यार आप यहाँ पर ये एक तो ना ये यूजलेस नट्स को मत लेके आया करो इधर पे.
तो बिल्कुल they have surrendered, but I think I'm still hopeful that before by
ठहर.
the new year gift यही होगा, they'll come back.
मैंने तभी कोई वीडियो नहीं करा अभी तक. ठहर दो.
If it
Let's
is
wait.
not in the new year's, then before your Republic Day,
Elections.
they'll be back. No,
या
Republic
इलेक्शन
Day.
से पहले they will be 100% back at home.
मैं तो Republic Day बोल. Republic Day पे आ
Nara-
जाए.
Narayanan ji, he says India Russia has signed agreement for future units of the Kudankulam nuclear project. Tamil Nadu earlier today, says Foreign Minister. CIA won't like this. Expect more protests.
Protest may be very limited because वो जितने NGOs involved थे सबके recognition खत्म हो गए, सब दुकान बंद कर चुके.
जी. निमिष अवस्थी जी कहते हैं will American elections be fair? I see USA as a more sophisticated Pakistan without Islamism.
See, I have not understood their elections, presidential elections. They call themselves a democracy. And the famous statement which they give of Abraham Lincoln, of the people, by the people, for the people. Then why are electoral college votes more important than the popular votes?
I know.
Right? it doesn't tally. It doesn't mesh. You should win, but why is there an electoral college vote at all? President should be elected by the people of the country, and their vote should count. Their votes have not counted. There are two cases which I know of directly: Al Gore and Hillary Clinton. And yet you call yourself a democracy?
It's a sham.
That means the elected people will decide who will become the president? Why? That is not democracy. That's a sham democracy. It is the Roman time में जो उन्होंने 3 दिए थे, the ruler, the tribunes and the plebeians. That means the tribunes are deciding today who will be the ruler.
True.
वो बात बनती नहीं.
Vamanji, thank you so much. He says, when can we listen to another history class by sir?
Next year.
Mohana Sankara Srinivasji, thank you so much for becoming a member. Maitri, please shed some light on Bharat's stake in northern sea routes. Can India trade its relations with Russia in return of POJK if US promises this?
India will never trade its relations with Russia. That's the trust we have. We don't trade. That's the US way of dealing things, not ours. We won't trade. Northern sea route, yes, it's closer, it's shorter. To go to Europe, it's shorter. As and when the Arctic Circle, the ice starts melting with the climate change and it opens up. As it is, the Russians have, I think, now about 14 plus 14, 16 or 17 bases across the northern sea route. They have created their bases. And that route, because the globe is wider in the middle and narrower at the top. So when you go from the top and come down to Europe, it's shorter. If you, उसमें बताया था, I'll repeat again, Flight Radar 24. See the routes that people take. It's the northern route. It's a shorter route.
Yeah. Jackie Singh ji, good to hear from General Ryan. Great analysis. Can we ask him to give us a view of the world 3 to 4 years from now with India flying high and a Republican in the White House? Jackie ji, may I just say something? If there is a White House left,
Republican in White House. See, we should look ourselves independently.
Yeah.
Whether a Republican or a Democrat, they will not let you fly high because they'll be so scared they'll try to pull you down. So we have to make ourselves strong, resilient, robust, rugged, that despite all the push and pulls, we still rise. And we will, we can, and we shall. Why do I say so? When you look at Western Europe, look at Japan, look at South Korea, look at China, all their economies have come up through aid. They're aided economy, aided to develop. We have never got any aid from anybody. Kai mila hua hai, sanctions mile hain, sab hua hai. Despite all that, you are rising. So it is the people who have shown the resilience, the ruggedness, the capability to rise despite other setbacks that other countries have placed in front of you. So I'm not concerned whether a Republican ho or Democrat ho. I'm least interested, Jackie, who is there. I have to rise on my own. And I have to make myself competent to do that, and we are doing it.
Absolutely. Sakeji, were relations with Israel not a constant?
Of course. These are the only two countries with which we have. Israel के साथ 92 से शुरू हुआ था.
जी.
Let's be clear on that. रशिया स्ट्रोक सोवियत यूनियन के साथ 50 से शुरू हुआ है. 70 साल हो गए. इनको भी 30 साल हुए. But yes, it has been a steady, dependable and constant thing.
Not as old as Russia though.
Yes.
But Raji, what will be the reaction of State Department after this statement of Jaishankar ji?
तो बैक फ्लिप कर रहे होंगे वहां पे, फ्रंट रोल बैक फ्लिप, पता नहीं क्या क्या कर रहे होंगे, हिल गए होंगे ना, क्या कर सकते हैं, दे कांट डू एनीथिंग। वही बोला ना कि damned if you do and damned if you don't. You need India, the Indian market they can't uh, sneeze on. It's
Yeah.
massive. Now you're the voice of the global south. The global south itself has a huge market. China, they know it's down the dumps, it's over. परचेजिंग पावर है नहीं उसके पास, आपके पास ही है, आपकी इकोनॉमी ग्रो कर रही है। And by the way, it is not 6.5%. I was reading in Times of India, it's about 7 to 7.5%. 7.2 to 7.5% has been your steady growth,
True.
which
True.
you can't sneeze at. So पैसे आपके पास है, आपसे पंगा लेगा तो हमने कहा यार तू नहीं तो और सही, वो है मेरे पास, रशिया तो साथ ही है मेरा, रशिया के साथ कर लेता हूँ। So now they were the ones who started it.
Yep. You know,
You have to decide whether you're going to be with Pannu and Pakistan or India.
the
Choice is
British
theirs.
Air Commander in the Second World War had said they have sowed the wind. Now they shall reap the whirlwind. So आपने करा है ये, खेलते रहो,
बिल्कुल.
ठीक है, doesn't matter to us.
This was when they were doing the bombings on Hamburg and thereafter Dresden,
Listen, yeah.
because it was a
JJ,
repeat of what the Germans did on London and all over.
JJ, your question is in the name of multipolar world, Russia and India should not embolden the Chinese, eventually to be outwitted with a declined US, resulting in a Chinese horrible unipolarity.
China's story is over. The dream is over even if before they could achieve it. It's all over.
Yeah.
But as they say, it's all over by the shouting. Khatam. Chapter closed.
Lajwanti ji,
Thanks to Xi Jinping.
yeah,
Thanks to Xi
absolutely,
Jinping.
absolutely, sir. Lajwanti ji, ask recently, Northern Korea has been getting closer to Russia, seemingly quiet on Chinese. Is Russia possibly elbowing China out? China is very uncomfortable. Yes.
North Korea is a rogue state here. How much can he deny China? एक ही तो बॉर्डर है उसका चाइना के साथ. His survival depends on China. क्या कर ले? न्यूक्लियर वेपन से तो अपने लोगों को खाना पीना तो दे नहीं सकता ना. कल को कोई वहां पे बंदा सन की ठोक दे इसको, then what?
Unknown gunmen North
You
Korea
never
पहुंच
know.
जाएगा.
Desperate people become desperate. Yeah. Desperate
True.
times people become desperate. Somebody knocks him off. Then what do? कौन है? So
True.
closer to Russia means how does he get close to Russia without going through China? Sea से ही जाना है. So North Korea is actually becoming painted itself into an irrelevant corner. At some point in time, I feel maybe in the coming next 10 years, ये North and
बचेगा
South
नहीं.
Korea may become one.
And on that note, sir, Xi Jinping asks, didn't South Korea sign some kind of a deal with US so they don't have to manufacture any nuclear weapons? In return, US will dock one warship loaded with nukes and in some South Korean port.
Xi Jinping, the second portion is that is not happening and they don't have trust on that. No. It's a two-way deal. I don't go nuclear, you provide me the umbrella. They're not providing the umbrella, no. They're getting scared. Correct. With North Koreans also doing various things. Chinese also rattling themselves. So they require that. It's not there. That is where the chatter has started in South Korea of going nuclear. How can you depend on Russia, US when they're not providing?
True. Vijay Kumarji, thank you so much for your question. He says India has played the waiting game better than the US. US is in a catch-22 situation which was created by itself.
Vijaydi, yes, very correct. But I would like to add, India always had options,
Yeah,
which the US failed to recognize, and it's paying the price for it now.
and that's a good answer. Mukesh Malik ji, thank you so much for your contribution. Vinay ji, thank you so much for your contribution. KSV Prasad ji, thank you so much. Rajiv Garu, when will Bharat call US a rogue state? What happens is Pakistan exists after 5 years.
US rogue state KSVG takes a time. It will take its own time. It will happen at some point in time. I don't know if I will be alive or not. Park may still exist, but I've always questioned in what shape and size. The
Yeah.
shape and size will decide its efficacy. If Sindh doesn't stay with it, then है नहीं है कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
I love this comment. We love Xi Jinping, sir. So do I.
So do I. So do I.
JP, last one, sir.
He's like what Aadi says. He's the Imran Khan of China.
I love all these guys.
जेपी सर किसी को भी उठा दो और बोल दो कि शूटर है. You think shooters will be roaming around like that?
नहीं सर, 2 बंदे हमने उठाए हैं, ये उसका जवाब है और कुछ नहीं है. इनमें
दो हमने उठा
इनमें
लिए
एटलीस्ट
उनके, अब उनके
इनमें
दो
एटलीस्ट
उठाएंगे वो
हाँ
कि भाई ये थे, तुमने बोला और हमने मान लिया. हाँ जी. It's like US saying that chap Gupta character who's the drug peddler, weapon runner and all that, he was involved. हाँ जी हमने मान लिया, बहुत अच्छी बात है. उसी तरह से ये निकलेंगे फिर.
चलो जी, एक ट्विस्टर फेंकता हूँ सर आपकी तरफ. एंड गाइस, दिस विल बी द लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ द इवनिंग. पीयूष गर्ग जी कहते हैं, व्हाट हैज बीन द रोल ऑफ केजीबी इन इंडिया रशिया रिलेशनशिप? पॉपुलर बिलीफ इज केजीबी हैड अ हैंड इन शास्त्री जी's assassination cover up.
Assassination is alleged. I really don't know. I have seen that film also.
Yeah.
The on which Mithun Chakravarti and all have made, but I really don't know. KGB has had a very strong role in India-Soviet relations. It may not have that strong a hand currently in Bharat-Russia relations. India-Soviet relations, yes.
And KGB is not what it was at one time, you know. जो वो था वो नहीं है.
अब तो KGB भी नाम नहीं रहा ना. I think FSB कुछ नाम.
FSB. This guy only changed it. Putin.
KGB का फुल फॉर्म होता था रशियन में Komitet Gosударственной Безопасности. FSB is the Federal Security Bureau. अब उसको ही अंग्रेजी में नाम डाल दिया. वो रशियन में होता था.
Sir, first of all, congratulations. We hit 300 people and they're still sitting with us, by the way.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Normally,
Thank you.
normally questions में थोड़े लोग नीचे आ जाते हैं. They're still here, and that owes a big kudos to you, sir, because you can actually hold the audience. Thank you so much, sir. मजा आ गया. I shall see you on Saturday for our last show and bidding everybody a great new year going ahead.
Yes.
So thank you so much, sir.
Namaskar. Looking forward to it. Thank you.